Esta versión es un nuevo hito en la evolución de GeneXus. Es una prueba más de que nuestro paradigma de construcción de software funciona.
Los usuarios, las empresas y las tecnologías nos desafiaban.
Hemos logrado construir una versión mucho más flexible, más inteligente y más adaptable para cumplir las necesidades que la tecnología hoy nos exige.
Un buen diseño, excelente usabilidad y transiciones fluidas es lo que espera un usuario exigente de las aplicaciones.
¿Dónde?
Señoras y señores, muy buenas tardes. Iniciamos ahora el último tramo de este 24º encuentro GeneXus.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now beginning the final part of GeneXus 24th. We have invited Mr. Pablo Heinig so that he can tell us about a new recipe for the management of high performance. Pablo has been working, advising high management of many companies. Let's receive Pablo with a big round of applause.
Bueno, buenas tardes.
Well, good afternoon. So good to hear you. You never know. You always have to check the cultural codes. For example, when I want to obtain an answer, what do I usually do? Okay, let's have some prior agreements before we start. It's a pleasure to be here with you, even though I understand this is the hardest time of the day to make a presentation because you're coming from lunch. I've seen some of you having lunch. And I saw images, pictures that really scared me. And even though all of this goes around recipes, and I think that some of you were hoping that after lunch you would be attended to like that. But the news is that the day continues and I have to face your digestion process. So I am competing against your digestion process. And at this time you have a notorious privilege, which is that you can realize which of you feels guilty and who doesn't. Why? Because the generalized thing is that at this time most people feel how? Well, during your digestion. Please put up your hand if you had lunch. So it's a massive digesting process. So why do I say that at this time you can determine who is feeling guilty and who is not? Just by taking a look at you. If someone were to come in late, we could see him. They have two different ways of coming into the room. If you do not feel guilty, how do you come? You're sort of dizzy and you're kind of wondering, is this where the presentation is supposed to be? You have a certain body language, and when he sits down, you think, okay, we will have a complicated scenario, because he sits and he stares at the horizon and sees nothing. And it would seem as if at a certain point he would say, I'm about to leave, and then he does leave. And when he wants to stand up, he's wondering, how much did I sleep? Because he didn't check the time. If there are slides, he says page 17, and now I see page 10, so that means I slept 7 pages. Okay. If you are the guilty kind, do you act the same way? No. He comes in and says, I'm sorry, and then sits down like saying, it's good to have a conference after lunch. He just adopts very strange positions in order not to fall asleep. But at a certain time, he's broken. And since he's a guilty nature, there's an inner voice that tells him you're falling asleep. And he has no idea whatsoever where he is. Trying to avoid that phenomenon, I will try to keep you alive so that no one dies by falling off your chairs. And I would like to share with you some ideas. And when I mean some ideas, one of the problems that I have is that I want to share many ideas, actually, but let's try to share some of them, or at least the most original ones in terms of high performance. And this is something that has been worrying me for quite a long time, and I will try to make you think with me. But this means another obstacle, which is I've been recently here, and maybe some of you have already heard me and some of you have not. So please put up your hand if you know me in a scenario such as like this one. And you're in the first row, so you're of an insisting nature. Okay, then you're guilty of that. If you've already seen me and heard me, please bear with me, because I will have to make some sort of introduction that you might have heard. So will you tolerate me? Okay, you didn't seem too convinced. Maybe just 3 of you said that you will tolerate me. So here we go. What is high performance? It is to obtain what I want to do with the minimum effort and possible cost and with the highest level of satisfaction. So it's paradise, heaven. But this goes against certain cultural biases that we have. For example, cultural biases such as this one. We have this sort of spirit of sacrifice. If you want something, you have to work hard for it. Blood, sweat, toil, and tears. You have to suffer. If we don't obtain with it through suffering, it's not worthwhile. So let's invert that paradigm to say maybe we can obtain this through enjoyment, high levels of enjoyment. Yes. But let me first think about this a little bit, because I want to go a little bit deeper. Just help me to think together. Would you agree that in the different areas of our life we obtain results? Again, here in this meeting, when you want to obtain an answer, what do? Okay. So do you agree there? This is found in different areas of our life. The question is, are those results that we obtain the consequence of what? Those results are the consequence of what? Of our actions, of that thing that we do. Now I will make another question in terms of how human you are. Which of you at a certain moment in your life have obtained a result that was not equal to what you wanted? Please put up your hand. Those of you who did not put up your hand, please wait for me at the exit, because I would like to have the phone number of your therapist, because I'm really jealous of you. For those of you mortal beings like me who do not obtain the results that you want, I ask again, what do we need to do in order to obtain different results? Obvious. Like teenagers say, obvious. They're making a very special sound with the letters so that they kind of salivate while saying it, because they say obvious. What do we need to modify? The action, obvious. I will make a story. It will make the story of a man. This is absolutely wrong. But here, the obvious thing would be to change our actions. Now, please bear with me during this story that I will make. And this story is a story of a man. Just imagine a man who has been married for a long time, and you find him, you meet him. Maybe someone could help me here? I need to plug this, please, so that I can continue to tell the story. Could you please plug this? Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. There was no battery, and maybe this would have been a very short conference if I hadn't plugged this in. If the battery of my tablet is over, then I'm over too. Thank you very much. So, just listen to this story. If I would be wearing stilettos, this would be a different story. You find someone who says, I am fed up because I don't know why I have married that woman. What happens? Every Saturday when I go to play soccer with my friends, she says, where are you going? I'm going to play soccer. This is very important for me because every Saturday I play soccer with my friends. And she says, oh, so you're going to play soccer, the only day that we have to be together, and you go to play soccer. I am the silliest person on earth. I have to stay home with the kids and go shopping. If you want, I can go shopping for you, and I will do that later. No, you're only thinking about you. And what happens then? I just slam the door, leave the house, and go to play soccer. For how long has this been going on? Maybe like 23 years. So, are you obtaining the results you want? No, the man is not satisfied. And what has he been doing for 23 years? Now I will make another question. Is there any area in your life where you haven't obtained any satisfactory results, and when you look back, you see that you have had the same results for 25 years? Put up your hand? Yes, and some are not even daring to put up their hand. This is fantastic. So it would seem that this is not so obvious. There's a model where many people have worked here. Archides, Echeverria. This is what we call first level learning, and this is where you can change your actions. But what happened to that man who didn't change his actions in the story? Yes, but why is he not changing? I know that here I will obtain different replies from men and women. Of course, women will say he doesn't care, he only cares about playing soccer. But what happens here? Is there any fear of changing? No, he would like to change. But he doesn't find any other way of solving the situation other than by doing what he does. He just cannot think of anything else other than what he's doing. A, he wants to play soccer. B, does he want to get a divorce? No, he doesn't want to get a divorce. But no, because of the kids. How old are the kids? They're 32 years old. Whatever the reason, does he want to get a divorce? No. Is he happy about the situation? No. Now bear with me with this another story. The man comes home after playing soccer. He stops at a traffic light, and he's already imagining the scene that awaits him home. He stops at the traffic lights, and he sees a guy who's selling flowers on the street, and he sort of looks at the guy, and he says, I don't have any money left. Can you give me that bunch of flowers that you're selling? He goes home, he sees the flowers, and he says, I will try to get the flowers out because they're getting smelly now. He gets to the door of his house, he breathes, and he says, okay, let's work for the rest of the weekend. He tries to open the door, awaiting the scene, and thinking that his wife will have a sour face. He opens the door, and he sees his wife precisely with that face. And he comes injured after playing soccer because he's older than 35. He opens the door, and he's standing there with the flowers in his hand, and he's sort of scanning him. But when she gets to the waist, she sees the flowers, and the system goes like, She lifts the eyes again, and she says, how did the match go? What was the result? What was the score? And he says, the flowers. Of course, some man will tell me, what did you do that you had to bring home those flowers? Regardless of that, that man at that moment had what we call second order learning, and it means that something clicked in him. He saw something that he hadn't been able to see, and based on that, he does something he had not done before. In this case, this was just by chance. But if we want to obtain the performance we want, if we are going to wait for it to happen by chance, then we are doomed. And this is second order learning, and this is basically what I want to tell you. It means a thorough transformation of the person behind the actions. Why? So that he can see something else other than what he is seeing and interpret it differently, so that he can do something that he hadn't thought about before. I know that as clicking. I clicked. Something clicked inside me. Could it be just by chance? Yes. Can it be induced? Yes, of course. We need people to click to make a different interpretation, because the interpretation we have had so far of this world has led us to this world, so we want to change it. And here, please bear with me if you've already heard me in another presentation. I will ask you to commit to something during this time. And for this, we will need to tame our inner voices, which is what you do when you talk to yourself. Which of you talk to yourselves? So those of you who didn't put up your hand are those who do this. This is what we do when we're talking to ourselves. Who talks to himself? These voices will appear. You have to tame them. First of all, this has already happened, and someone said, I know this already. When that voice appears, you're closing your chances to knowledge. This is what we do when we meet someone for the first time. Let's assume that, for example, I see you for the first time. Have I ever seen you? No, never. I have never seen you. So, but just by looking at you, I think that kind of smile, I think I get you already. Don't we usually do that? You say, or you say, What are you saying there? I know this already, and this will happen here. Try not to do this. This basically is the leitmotif of those who have my same nationality. Probably there are many of you here. That is to say, I am Argentinian, so that means that I know everything. So for this, you need to have the opposite attitude to what Argentinians have. So I'm asking you to be humble. I swear I wasn't going to do this, but I was asked to say this. I discovered this the first time I gave a presentation outside of Argentina. I'm always wary of Argentinians because I know how we are. And I thought about a method for discovering Argentinians. How do we Argentinians sit? Most people sit like this. And sometimes they write down. How do Argentinians sit? Like this. You fold your arms because you're afraid of getting a new idea. Are you facing action? 30 degrees on the side. This is how you sit. And how do we look, people? No, we look like this. We look very busy. And what do Argentinians look in your presentation? Something. And when they discover something, they do this. When they get their microphone, do they speak seating? No. This is a moment of glory. So they stand up and they said, Pablo, what you're saying is very interesting, but in our sectors, because of the regulations and so, blah, 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 he found something. So the presenter sort of proves his point, which is a moment very important in our lives as Argentinians when we are proven right. And what does this man, before he sits, he makes a checklist for his self-esteem, and he does like this. And he gets back to the older position. Until when? I never know whether to be proud of that applause or not. Please don't do that. Never do that. I also know that my method fails because sometimes I ask someone, are you Argentinian? And they say no. So this means that maybe this thing is not working so much. Second, you might see this sentence, why have I been sent here? My boss should be here. Why isn't my boss here? Well, your boss isn't here, you are here, so you need to try to change your boss. And if you're here with your boss, maybe you can just hit him with your elbow. Third, it has to be easy, quick, and fun. Please gather your senses. How many of the skills you have today were either quick, easy, or fun to acquire? And you're looking like this. Oh, but now all of us want to have edutainment, education and entertainment. Well, 4. I've already tried this, but I don't get it. I will tell you, please. I've seen this. I saw how you worked yesterday. This should be able to help you to eliminate resignation among you. This guy that I told you about who has been married for 25 years, and we ask him, what are you doing? How are you doing? Are you in love with your wife? Yeah. And then he has a sort of sentence. Which is that sentence? He says, well, it's what I have. And that entails profound resignation. One more thing is what this is for. Number 5. Sometimes we need to get to concrete things. I'm an engineer. And when I started engineering, I studied mathematical analysis. And I was thinking, who was consuming such heavy drugs in order to teach this? Because this is such a degree of abstraction. I did an mathematical analysis 1, 2, 3, and I said, why? What happened here? Of course, we also had to study fluid mechanics, and we studied how to design plane engines, and every time I get into a plane, I try to imagine all those abstractions that I was learning. So please recover your abstraction capacity. Is it hard? Yes. But everyone now wants to have 3 tips so that everything they do in their life is successful. But it's a bit more complex. And number 6, being uncomfortable when you learn. I will ask you to do something. Follow me. I'm not pulling your leg. I'm not mocking you. Please fold your arms. Now unfold them. Fold them again. Unfold them. Fold them again. Unfold them. Fold them again, unfold them. Now do it the other way around. What did you feel? Is it good? Is it divine? So you felt uncomfortable. You did something 5 times, but when I asked you to do it different, the 6th time you felt uncomfortable. In a space for learning, if there's learning, what will you have? You will be uncomfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable for something that I'm saying, then it's working. It means it's working. So do you agree to try to tame all your inner voices? Well, with this enthusiasm, guys, it looks like a wedding ceremony where the priest says, do you accept X and X for your wife? And then she says, yes, we have already paid for the ceremony. We are kind of going so-and-so around life in a lukewarm attitude. So you're committed to this. Well, you didn't sound too honest there. This is something that I shared, and I will make a very quick reference to this. Why is it so hard for us to obtain performance? Because we are centered around a model that comes from the Industrial Revolution. Through this path, we see that the main variables of man's life are space and time. You realize about this on Sunday when you after you have lunch and you have a nap for 5 hours, and when you wake up, you don't know where you are nor who you are. And you sort of feel horrible. Your heart is pounding. And then you realize it's me and I'm home. And when you take a look at the time, then it's even worse. These are the two vital variables. And there you will see why we don't have the skills. First phase, natural space and virgin and wild nature. We were around the world and we were predators, and time was universal. The rhythm of our days was marked by universe. Then we have the Neolithic revolution. Man obtained a stone and was able to generate a rural space and modified it. And this happened until the Industrial Revolution with a steam machine, where for the second time we were able to change space. What meant here? Here we used to have 10 people working, and now we just need one. Where do the others go? They go to factories, and around factories, cities are built. But for the first time, time has changed. Now, this is no longer what's marking the universe. Who is beating the rhythm of our days? Now the clock. That's why we're talking about conventional time. We convene, we say what we will do at 1 a.m. And if you're not hungry, you will have lunch. And what do you need to do at 2 a.m. in the morning? If you don't feel like sleeping, well, you have to sleep anyway. This is the industrial area. What are the characteristics of this? There was manual labor, someone was a boss, another one was controlling. And behind that was fear. And that is why people worked. What's the problem? Something has changed, and I always make this question. Maybe I will skip it this time, but please put up your hand if you think you have a boss in your life. Okay. Do you try to do what your boss asks you to do? Yes or no? Why? Why? So I receive answers like this: because we have to, because we're a team, because I'm committed to do this. And what would happen if you didn't do so? Well, I would get reprimanded. If it happened 2 times, 3 times, well, maybe I might be in trouble. Maybe I might lose my job. And what would that mean? How would you feel? I would feel afraid. What happens with the brain when you're afraid? This is what happens inside your brain. Here we have the tonsils.
It segregates cortisol, invades the neocortex, and we cannot think. And that's good, because if a lion is running after you, you cannot stop you cannot stop and say, don't eat so much beef, it's going to affect your digestion. So with fear, you don't think. You see the threat, and you only have a capacity to escape. What happened? We had another revolution, the communications revolution, television, space becomes virtual. Human beings have a power that was before restricted to gods. We are omnipresent. We can be simultaneously present in different places at the same time. I can see my home from a telephone. I saw everything. I saw the kitchen. There was someone who was not me. I am God. I am here. I am there. What happens? We are called God, but we had no course to become God. And they changed the concept of time. Time is no longer the watch controlled. Time is immediate. So in this era, which of you do manual work? Nobody. Work is intellectual, and in order to think, you have to feel the opposite. You have to feel trust and not fear. You should be able to build trust in others, your loved ones, your team, your customers. And with trust, you can think. And there is power, but power comes from an authority. You respect the authority because you have trust. And then some people follow you, whatever you do. If you are standing on, ready to jump from the 25th floor, and you're ready to jump because the leader jumps, because you trust, and you give the authority to the person you trust. Now let's see what are the main characteristics here. It's very, very important, and this is something you're probably not aware of. Today, in order to think, you have to you have to use the frontal lobe, which is for thinking, and move it back here to the limbic system, where we make things in a more automated way. When you brush your teeth, do you think about it? You never doubt. You sometimes don't even remember if you did brush your teeth. Today, most of what we do, most of our day is spent in brushing our teeth, and this should be done automatically. It must flow on its own so that the frontal lobe is free to create the future. Now, if you look at it this way, I will talk about 10 points and work on 10 new points. We have been working to detect the competences and the things that people need for self-performance, for their own. Something important, people need to be open to interpretations that are not their own interpretations, and this is not the way we are working in the world. What I see is the reality, and one characteristic of high-performance teams is that they are ready to realize that their interpretation is one of many. The capacity to listen. One characteristic of high-performance people and teams is that they have the capacity to listen, and this goes beyond to what we've been listening to. If you really listen, something changes in you. Neuroscience tells us that when you think about and listen about something, your brain changes. We have been working on this for many, many days, and I will show you something. Design and management of conversations. Depending on your capacity, you will perform. How do we talk to others? Most of us learn to speak. Who was ever taught to design and manage a conversation? We speak. We articulate sounds. The amount and quality of feedback is very important, and we need to give ourselves some feedback. But I'll change your minds in this case. How to manage your emotions. This is something that we've seen in previous presentations, and I will talk about this. Coordination of actions, how we coordinate actions with others. The way in which we produce our judgment. In most meetings that we attend, we spend hours judging without a basis, a good basis. Then how we manage private conversations. This is what people keep quiet about. Please don't say Pablo should say all we think. That's not what I'm saying, because that hurts a lot. This has to do with the silence I'm keeping affects my performance and happiness. So we must find a way to speak up. How to manage creative tension. Do you enjoy what to do? And finally, the management of your body. We have left the body relegated. The body is just what transports me. It takes my head from one meeting to another. This is what the body is today for us. So let me elaborate one first tool. I said, and this I took from a conference. I discovered Marco Aurelio in this text, which is wonderful. He said that no one sees the reality. He didn't know that neurosciences would come to ratify what he said. So I want to give you a tool to speak about this, and the tool is as follows. I will show you 4 ways in which human beings approach problems and opportunities, and these 4 ways we have to do with the values that we have at stake. Try to identify yourselves. These are the forms I'm going to describe. They have to do with idiosyncrasy. And we're going to talk about 4 main idiosyncrasies. We'll talk about the Anglo-Saxon way, the Latin way, the Asian way, and the Germanic way. These four modalities have nothing to do with the place you were born in. They are neither good nor bad. You can be born in Uruguay and be Germanic. Let us describe each model and see if you identify yourselves with it. Anglo-Saxon modality. The archetype is the archetypical American. What's the main characteristic of this person in front of a problem or an opportunity? Please tell me. Let's make one point clear. What is a value? Imagine someone with a flat. His partner lives there, the mother-in-law, the children, the dog. The flat catches fire and he can take one thing at a time. Some people would take the children first and the couple, then the mother-in-law and then the dog and finally the laptop. These are the values. This is the order of priorities. Maybe somebody else will take the kids first, the dog, the laptop. Then is there anything left, he wonders. Or maybe someone takes the laptop and said, what a fire. But please, I'm not saying whether this is right or wrong, but it tells a lot about the values of this gentleman. Now here, let us think. And I'm not talking about a laptop or mother-in-law. What is the number one generic value for an Anglo-Saxon? Money. Money is results, I would say. We are going to obtain results. How? I don't care. I don't even want to know how. Let us get results. And the company with this characteristic would do activities in which area? Finance. Yes, finance. 14%. The market collapsed, 14.3%. And how do we do it? I don't know. I don't want to know. You just get to that figure. All right, Latin. I said it has nothing to do with the place you were born in. That's our idiosyncrasy. So what do you think is the priority value for the Latin? Heart, emotion. Are they discrete emotionally, the Latins? Hey, how are you? That's the way we are. Sometimes spend a good time, enjoy life. Would you really have a good time if the others realize that you're having a good time? Do you know Claudia Schiffer's joke? Executive class on a plane crashes. She's alive with one Argentinian. She said, I'm waiting for a rescue. Roberto is not even aware of the fact. Roberto thinks I believe in God. I was agnostic, but I believe in God. Time goes by. Claudia sees no one is coming to rescue me. She gets near to Roberto and says, maybe he can save me. And she finds Roberto. He has a fire already. He is grilling an animal he caught. He hunted, and he feeds her. And then in the sixth day, they had sex. When Roberto gets up and looks at Claudia, he says, Claudia, can I ask you a favor? Oh, yes, Roberto. Could you wear the suit that fell from the plane? And Roberto, this is a desert island. It would do me good. Oh, so she wears it. Claudia, why don't you wear a hat? Okay, I will. Claudia, one final request. This is carbon. Can I paint you a mustache and a beard? Yes. And when she's dressed as a man, he looks at her, he runs, and he says, "Ah, you know whom I had love with last night?" What's the priority? Image. Image. They should see me as I would like to be seen. Image. The priority for the Asian modality. Think about this very ancient culture in Asia. There are values that have to do with loyalty, honor. Who determines that? Do I determine that or others? Who says that I am honorable? Somebody else, a third party. So this is the others. If it's part of my group, how are we doing? If it's a competitor, how are they doing this? I didn't say that the archetype of the Latin comes from marketing. Yes, we sell what we have and what we don't have. Right. In Asia, they are worried about their kind, and the Germanics likes processes. What would be the area here? What's the archetype? Human resources. They tell you in the last quarter you didn't get the results, and he says, well, but I have a wonderful team. Okay, fine, but we need results, but do something about it. But he says, well, but if we are fired, we will all be fired as a team. And the Germanic is interested in the processes. He stands and says, you will not send a delivery if Form 23 is not signed. Yes, but there's no. It will not come out if you don't sign this form before. They do management control, etc. Each one has a trend. And now the secret to operate. If this is your trend, the best thing you can do is develop your Asian spirit. This is a diagonal that shows high performance. You should work with someone who's focused on the results, with other who's worried about people. Now, if you are this, the best thing you can do is develop this part. So if apart from having a good environment, you obtain good results. Now, if you are concerned about images, the person that sells things and he says, well, we were able to sell 6,000 units, and in unit says, well, but we only manufacture 1,000. Well, we'll see how we manage. I'll ask you, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? Is this known to you? This is the best opportunity we have for learning. When you say, that's me, you can learn if you feel that. Now, if you are here, if you are Latin, the best you can do is develop your Germanic spirit so that you can organize the chaos in your life. Now, if you are Germanic, the best you can do is develop your Latin part to put some more show and flexibility in your management. If you cannot do that, well, please try to have these people surround you. And if you don't have them around you, you should do something to improve your results or processes. So always try to have a group of them, because some hate each other. The Anglo-Saxon says that the Asian is what? We are not talking about cultures, we are talking about characteristics. The people, fire them all. Get new employees. There are lots of people who want to work and don't insist. And what would the Germanic character what would the Asian accuse the Anglo-Saxon of? Being neo-colonialist, being abusing others. What would the Latin accuse the Germanic of? Oh, yes, with your processes, I'm fed up of your processes. I'm sure that I go to your house and there is a flow chart of how to make love if I visit your house. And the Germanic would say what about the Latin? You are a criminal. This will end up in jail, and I don't want to get involved. This is what I know. We have to follow the process. If you don't commit to that, I have nothing to do with the results. Now, see how interesting, because the diagonals prove success. You hate him, but he would be your strategic partner. This is a person you hate, but this has to do with high performance. These combinations are not very useful. Anglo-Saxon and Latin, we concern about results and image. What would that be? That combination is a what? They say this is like a car salesperson. Oh, I have to sell 3 more cars. I'll do whatever I can to sell more cars. That's a show. They're very concerned about image and others. That's a profile for the end of the year party. But forget about profitability. You are very concerned about others and processes. Well, a group of very well-organized friends. And I left this here not by chance. Look, concerned about results and processes. What's that? This is what I live on every single day. Well, if someone thought that, it's highly probable that results and control are important. But what is the effect on people and their performance? It kills you. How? If you live 5 years in that culture, your body posture will change. In 5 years, this is the posture. As you live in this culture, you block your knees, your buttocks move in, and your shoulders slug down, and this is how they walk. Oh, I'm very happy 5 years later. Why are you happy? Oh, we got the results this semester. Are you that happy because of that? No, I'm so happy because next week we have a new standard and we get certification. I'm so happy. I'll do something. That's because I'm overjoyed. This kills the soul of people and organizations. And you say, this is what I'm living. Well, don't wait for the world to change it. Recover what you're losing, because otherwise in 5 years' time, we will commemorate this event, and this is going to be you in 5 years' time. Well, first piece of learning. Please think about your diagonals and find a balance. Try to find people around you who have those characteristics and partner with them. Don't fight with them. They are your strategic partners. They are strategic partners. Go to operations, quality control, marketing, those who are always doing the show, those who appear in all the magazines. That's your strategic partner. Now, one step forward. Let me talk about managing creative tension. This is our capacity to enjoy. Tell me if you agree that when I say that we do our best efforts, on the basis of that effort, we have a performance, and that performance grants satisfaction. Is that a logical way of thinking? Raise your hand if in the last 6 months you've been in a very wonderful party, you've danced for a long time. The older ones do not raise our hands because we don't go to good parties anymore. But those who went to good parties, somebody raised a hand over here, yes? For how long? For how long did you dance? How long did you dance? 4 hours. Yes, a tremendous physical effort. Did you tell your friends, oh, yesterday I went to a party and I danced for 4 hours? What an effort. Did you tell her like that? No, but you did a tremendous effort. Why don't you tell others that's an effort? We need to invest, and we are working on this investment. If a person obtains high levels of satisfaction, the person will not feel this is an effort, and the performance will soar. And someone worked on this. Our principle is pleasure. We work because of pleasure. What do you think about this frog? She probably had a joint or something. But this is the way we work. It's for pleasure. So let me add one extra tip, and the tip is the following. What do I mean by managing creative activities? We are after physical beauty. We have desires. You may say this is material or spiritual, but beauty generates a gap between what I want and what is really. This gap between what I want and what really is results in tension. You know what it means to manage that creative tension? If I only have pleasure when reality fulfills my desire, pleasure will be felt for how long? That's a question. On a monthly basis, I work the whole month, and in the best of cases, you get what you want. And you say, hooray! And then the following day, you start a new month. But to manage creative quality is good. If I am allowed, if GeneXus and you allow me, I will give you a daring example. What a moment. I look at you, but I'll do it because you are adults and the scientist will allow me to do this. The best way to understand this is speaking about sex. If somebody was asleep, that person is probably awake now. I will provoke you, but with ethics and aesthetics. This is an analogy. When reality meets desire, in sex, that would be orgasm. What you do before that is what you do before an orgasm. Well, the first time I explained this, I got into hell and high water, and I asked people, how long would orgasm last? And the figures I can tell you. I said, my God, my God. But biologically speaking, it's seconds. It's a matter of seconds, something like this. So very little. Then I asked people, how long does it take for you to do things before the orgasm? And they gave me extraordinary figures. And whatever they said, this was much longer than this. So I asked them, how many people would have sex if what comes before were stressing, painful? And think about that. I don't want sex. I don't want to suffer for just a very short orgasm. And now let's go to labor environment. Monthly objective. The month starts and you start kicking, fuck, this, that, oh, I hate my boss, oh, I'm fed up, oh, God, I want Chong Huang. This is how you go kicking days. On the 31st, you say, I got the objective, wonderful. And now what do I start? The 1st of the next month, kicking this. So gentlemen will die young if we keep on like this. Look at this gentleman here, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, positive psychology initiator. He studied the happiness experiences of people and he discovered the patterns of happiness. Let me show them to you, and this will be the end of my presentation, just to give you a clue of what to do to increase human satisfaction. First, he discovered the following. Activities that make people happy give you immediate feedback, like sports. Who plays tennis? Raise your hand. Soccer. Good. If you play tennis, the time you hit the ball with a racket, at that minute you know if you did well or not. How fun would it be to play if you just hit the ball and a month later a mail comes and says, good shot. And now that's why I'm not happy in my job, because I don't get a feedback. And not immediate feedback. Yes, because most people don't have immediate feedback. And if they do, it's not immediate. So change the paradigm. We've been telling you that leaders should need to give feedback to those he or she leads. But the rule is reversed. Do I need feedback? Who needs feedback? Do you have people who work for you to get your food? I want feedback for myself. You know what we are doing? We are training people to ask for feedback. What do you think? They say, I don't like it. What do you think? I need feedback. This is the input. This is the gasoline for high performance. And men are so obvious. Going back to making love. After making love, the men said, how are you feeling, honey? Are we asking this? What are we really asking about? What are we asking the partner? Tell me, how was my performance? That's the nature of this. One more step. This graph here is wonderful. I will explain it and I'll stop here. See what it discovers. Please read Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He discovers that happiness is associated to circumstances posing challenges according your abilities. And see what he discovered. He discovered that if you have many skills but you are not required to use them, you feel apathy. If you have too many abilities and nobody requires them, you'll get bored. You are relaxed in other cases. But if you have many, but not as much as what you can do, you feel control. To leave 75% of your life under control is almost happiness. But look at the other. If I have few skills, but they require a lot of me, that makes me angry. Have you tried to learn to dance salsa, merengue, or tango? I tried. And then I realized. He says, this one, 1, 2, 3, ping, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now the music starts and you start, no, this was not right. No, I like 1, 2, 3. And I said, oh, I give up. You know, try to teach an old person to use the mouse. They are about to hunt an animal. Oh, I got it. And the third attempt, oh, the mouse, I don't want it. I want my Olivetti, my manual Olivetti. That's anger. Few abilities. You have abilities, but they excess you. This causes anguish, anxiety. Most managers live in this area. I have many skills. There is some demand, a little before what I can. Video games. What happens when you're doing a video game? You change level and you fall down. You're about to change level. You try again. You try again. And then, mommy, father doesn't want me to. Interesting to do this in the job. And finally, those experiences that he calls flow experience. That's happiness. You have skills. You are required to do your maximum. So a real example, reality is more complex. See what happens. In reality, we have a problem, and the problem is the following. In reality, we move in this way. Think about your daily labor day. If you have been working for more than 10 years in the same company you're still today, more than 10 years in the same company. Imagine this, without personal hints. Let me show you a typical electrocardiogram of a person who's been working 10 or more years in the same company. Remember that day when they called you to say you're in? Oh, good, you celebrated. I got a job with GeneXus. Here I come. And they hire you for a position that exceeds your capabilities. You're not a dandy when you get into the job. So where would you be here on this chart? I guess that around here, right? You are in a boring job, and then you join GeneXus. I'm so happy, you say, and this is where you are. but I'm afraid. I don't know if I'm ready to do this, to accept. Oh, I did it wonderful. I feel so good. Oh, today I made a mistake. Oh, I'm doing fine. This is the work I was looking for. Oh, I made a mistake today. And this is the pattern. I'm about to control this. This is what I like. I love to work for GeneXus. I'm so happy. Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Okay, I'm happy. Well, I do my best. Oh, well. Well, you know how things are. Well, today, fine. Well, nothing. This is the electrocardiogram. And you say, well, he's not motivated. No, he died. He died. And now you say, that is why I'm not happy in my job, because I don't have challenges that meet my skills. No company in the world can do this for you. Now, look at your working processes, the individual ones and the team ones, and then use the following sieve. Go over this. See whether you are in a control or boring areas for more than 6 months. You should self-impose some areas in you. If I'm asked to know English in order to attend a conference, well, if you know a little English, try to do it. Do your best. Try to understand. Accept it. Do it for yourself. Do it for your people. Accept the challenges. And this applies in all things. I'm not talking about idleness, because idleness brings something similar. My last comment. Action and awareness are united. These people have the capacity to do something apart from what they are really doing. He's thinking, I didn't pay my electricity bill. Awareness and action go together. I say, I cannot do it because I'm multitasking. Multitasking plays against your satisfaction. So what do? For very short periods of time, try to do one thing at a time. For 5 minutes, just read your mails and nothing else. And the level of satisfaction is going to be enormous. You cannot do that for 5 minutes. You have to regulate your own impulses. Don't start doing something else. Would this be in the internet? No. Read your mails, focus, concentrate. So review your working processes, this relationship between demand and skills. Design short periods of times to do one thing at a time, and also get feedback out of the world. And I want to write a tango that is called Get Feedback from Life. Feedback is not the language of tango, so it will not work. Well, this is as far as I can go. Thank you. I hope this is useful to change a little bit of the world. Don't be ambitious. Look around. There are holes for opportunities to apply this. I hope it's useful. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.